Good evening. I'll call the meeting to order. This is the Wednesday, January 23rd, 2019 meeting of the Lowell Conservation Commission. We have an order of business here, starting with enforcement order for a property at 5.1 Thorndike Street. And this order appears to have been sent to a couple of different entities due to the fact that they are not local owners of this property. And I think I'll defer to Jared here to see if there's any updates on this particular violation. It concerns illegal dumping of landscaping debris and trash within 100 feet of the Pawtucket Canal at 5.1 Thorndike Street.
At this time, we have no update. At this point, you have ratified enforcement orders against both the owner of the property and the tenant of the property. The health inspectors are also issuing fines right now against the property under separate provisions, but at this point, we have not received any contact from either of the individuals, although I believe we've gotten the certificate of mailing back, the green slip, so they have actually received the notice, they just haven't responded to it yet.
Okay. Does anyone on the commission have any comments, questions, or concerns about this particular enforcement order? Nothing we want to follow up on at this time, so we'll probably defer that until the next agenda, hoping there'll be some news. Moving on to new business, we have a request for determination of applicability for Ashley Nantavong, 49 Weber Street, and this is a request to put fill in a project to remove the structure from the floodplain at 49 Weber Street.
I'm going to recuse myself from this meeting, from this minute.
Okay. Brad is recusing himself due to a conflict of interest. Welcome.
Good evening. David Biotti, Greater Lowell Engineering. I'm here with Ashley and Nathan, and you can help me with the pronunciation of your last name. Nantavong. So during the course of this year, or I should say last year, pardon me, we did an elevation certificate in a LOMA for the subject property, 49 Weber Street. Unfortunately, two corners of the house were a little bit lower than the base flood elevation. So at FEMA's suggestion, we went then and performed a topographic survey and put together this plan showing proposal to fill necessarily around abutting the structure and compensating for it in the front yard. I'm proud to say that Nathan, who here was voted last year engineering student of the month at the Morey School and wants to be an engineer when he grows up, did assist us with the elevation survey. And he's very eager to be here tonight, so I'll defer all further questions to Nathan here at this point.
Good job.
So please, this young couple with two small children has been issued invoices from their flood insurance company of upwards of $2,600 a year, and they've been threatened that it's due to increase upwards of 18 to 20%, possibly year over year. And we're just trying to do our best to help them eliminate the necessity for this flood insurance.
Are you aware if the city is doing anything in this area to change the floodplain lines at all? Or is this pretty well set? Has it been this way for a long time?
I'm not aware of that. And I don't think through the communication with the city that that any of that information has been relayed to us. Okay. I know that Ashley's grandmother owned the house for 40 years. She's been in the house for 5 years, and never has there been any flood water in their backyard, which is significantly lower than the elevation around their foundation. So
That's what made me wonder if perhaps the elevations had changed recently on the FEMA maps or something. I don't know.
we have the latest FEMA map, I think that we've submitted concurrently with this package to the city. So I believe that it's current.
I did have some questions about the swale. I guess I'm used to wetland compensation where it's connected normally to the wetland area, and this is somewhat disconnected from the floodplain, 100-year floodplain line. Could you explain how that compensates for when the water comes through? Could you explain that to me, please?
So we've been instructed to provide the compensatory storage in the same elevation datum
Right.
as we would suggest where our fill would be suggested. And so those are the elevations that we've matched. So we're filling between elevation 101.8 up to elevation 102, wherever that falls on the foundation. And we're also compensating for that in the front yard at those same elevations.
Okay, so when water actually rises, at what point does this compensation area come into play?
Well, we assume that it's going to rise in the street as well. If the floodwaters are going to rise, which are about in the street at elevation 102, we believe that the gutters in the street are under elevation 102. They're actually between 101 and 102. We believe that the entire neighborhood is going to be inundated with floodwaters before this specific area, or the water at this specific area, tries to meander its way around to the front yard. So this will also rise from the street at those elevations.
Okay, I'll
And it's pretty consistent, Ms. Farnham, with the Lowell GIS platform as well, those elevations.
I'll let members of the board ask their questions and maybe come back to this. Okay.
No, I think we've allowed compensation that wasn't attached to that existing floodplain as long as it was in the same property.
Right.
Yeah, so we've done this before.
So how does this look?
I think it looks good. They're matching the elevations accordingly, and then not only are they matching it, they're actually providing about
Gaining a little bit more.
40 additional cubic feet. So the whole point of this project is to fill near the house, to get the house completely out of the floodplain, so they don't have to pay flood insurance?
Correct.
That's the point?
Yes.
Okay. I had a question with one of the city of Lowell. The property owner requested that the office endorse a LOMRF community acknowledgement form. What's that?
Well, yeah, sure, if you want to. I don't know that you need a copy, but you...
No, I'm just
you
curious,
want-
what is it? I've never
Yeah,
even
so
heard of
it's
this.
a LOMA fill application. So you can submit a LOMA to remove structure and/or the entire lot from the floodplain.
Okay.
Well, this is part of the FEMA process?
Part of the FEMA
Gotcha.
process.
This is the
yeah.
part of, this is a form that gets you out of the floodplain so you don't have to pay insurance.
Correct.
Copy that, okay. I think it's okay as long as you just don't have like as long as it looks all right and you don't have a hole, massive hole. Yeah, I think the elevations are,
Well, we've compensated for that hole by grading proposed grading at a 3-to-1 slope.
okay.
Thereby reducing or eliminating any need for a fence or a gate around that depression, we'll call it. So, I mean, it's the only thing we could do. We looked high and low on this site, and really, it's the only place that we could provide this storage. And this couple does not want to sell this house.
Yeah.
In the family for a long time. And
Yeah.
if we can help them stay there, it would be nice.
Yeah.
I agree with Commissioner Beardron, as long as you're not having a giant hole or bathtub in the area. I mean, and I think you just said, you know, you got a 3-to-1 slope, so you got a gradual swale. I'm all for getting out of FEMA flood insurance, you know, where it makes sense. I mean, I think the insurance companies are notorious about, you know, you get one little part of your property, then they'll ding you. You know, I mean, that happened to me once. I live on the 3rd floor of a building, and they were trying to say that I needed individual insurance, even though the condo association had a master policy.
Down on one of the canals?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
I mean, I appealed it and won, but I'm just saying that I'm empathetic to your situation, so I think this is fine, and it's consistent with what we've allowed in the past when we talk about filling within a wetland. I mean, excuse me, within a floodplain.
Kevin?
I have no questions.
Brad? Harry? Okay, this is an RDA. Since the floodplain is right at their doorstep at the moment, I would say it's applicable. Do we have any conditions that would be necessary to approve something like this?
Does it say what type of material you're using for fill? You're just going to use like,
So we'll heed your suggestions there, or those of others, or perhaps someone in the planning department here, but we were just going to go with a good, you know, good gravelled, dense graded gravel or something along those lines.
so you're not going to do like a native fill, like you're not going to seed over it? It's going to be,
I assume that we will try to. We'll try to seed, grass seed.
so we don't want gravel. Yeah, we probably wouldn't
A
want
loam
that.
mix.
We'd want like a native soil.
For the top portion, of course.
Yeah.
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 What about the soil that you're removing? Could that be used for the fill?
It's possible. Yeah, I mean, it should match up pretty nicely.
Otherwise, you'd be removing that off the site, I presume?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if they could use the soil from the front to put there, she'd probably save some money.
Sure.
For fill. Yeah, as long as it's a native soil that obviously we don't want you pouring concrete or something that you know, groundwater won't percolate or rainwater won't percolate through to the ground.
So can we put that in the form of a
Yeah, so can we do a condition on an RDA? Okay. So I'm gonna make a motion to issue a -3 determination with the condition that the fill material either be existing material used from the site, or native material consisting of loam and soil.
You don't want the whole thing to be loam. I mean, they're filling in 2 feet. If you loom out 2 feet of soil, it's going to get washed out eventually. You want to
do some crushed
intermediary
stone.
gravel mix.
Yeah,
This is a standard fill soil. I mean, you can say maybe you don't want urban fill,
no, well, no one's gonna put urban fill.
but
No, I guess,
but you need some rocks in there to hold it together, and then you'd loom over the top of it. You can probably use the material that's been excavated out of the pond in the front to loom over what's in the back at the end.
okay. Yeah, I just, yeah, we don't want. We just,
We're not going to pave it.
yeah,
We won't. But
Yeah.
we do need some good stability back there as a base, and then certainly some loam and seed on the top. And we don't want all the water collecting there, getting into around the foundation, so it would be nice to be able to keep that slope and shed some of it off, so.
okay,
A good loam and seed would be,
But it will still be permeable material.
sure.
yep. Okay, so let's try this again. I'll issue a -3 determination with the condition that the topsoil is loam and seed or material used from the front yard, and all material used must be permeable. Is that all right? Okay.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
Nope.
I'll have a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
And It passes. Brad has recused himself.
Thank you.
So make sure you get what you need from FEMA after you do this, so
We're on it.
Yeah. Thank you.
take care.
Thank you very much.
Nice job.
Yeah, good job, engineer. We have some board openings.
Okay, moving on, we have a request for a certificate of compliance. Ronald DeRazio, who now lives in North Carolina. It was DEP number 206-380. The location of this request is 126 and 130 Epping Street. This order of conditions goes back to 1992 and 1996, and it involves a sewer connection. The house is apparently, or the property's being sold, and they apparently just noticed that they didn't have their certificate of compliance. So we had quite a bit of background material on this one. I don't know whether Jared was the one that dug it all up or whether the property owner did, but there was quite a lot of material that we could look at to see the sewer connection. It looked pretty complicated, seeing as there was a brook right there to go under, and
Right here?
that's not it.
Okay. I didn't see anything on this. Did we see stuff?
Yeah, it was sent on January 16th.
January 16th.
Is there anyone here for that?
I'm their real estate agent. They live in North Carolina.
Yeah, could you come up to the podium, please? Introduce yourself and sign our list there, please.
Okay. My name is Kristen Rudolph. I represent my clients as they're selling their property. They moved to North Carolina. And the real estate attorney found the open order. And so
Always
we
do.
know that we can't close on the property until that's satisfied. I know someone from the Lowell Water Department did go out to the property. They did send a camera down the system, said they saw no issues. Pat was a huge help. Joe in another office was fantastic. Everybody was super helpful, especially with my clients being out of state already.
Okay, so the water department has done an inspection and found no problems. We have a fairly detailed plan that was submitted at the time the construction occurred.
No. Well, so I actually, I spoke with the city about this because they asked my advice on how they should pursue, and I said if they could TV it, that would be the best, and they did. So, and the TV came back great, and the wastewater utility engineer who watched the TV said everything looked fine. So that's like all you could. That's like better than even if we did have a permit. So,
Great.
yep.
Okay, so I think we could entertain a motion on this.
I'll offer a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for this completed project.
Seconded by? Seconded. Harry, discussion?
No.
Okay, motion made and seconded to issue the certificate of compliance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, I believe.
How are you?
Your client will be happy.
Thank you very
My
much.
client will.
Take care.
The
One
off-
question for you all, if you don't mind, is when do we get the order, or is it going to be emailed? Do I need to come to City Hall to pick it up? How does that work?
Staff will mail it out after we prepare it, actually the next few days.
Do you want to leave your address?
Would it get mailed, or could it get mailed to me, or does it need to go to the client
You
in
can
North
also come pick it
Carolina?
up in the office if that's easier.
Could I do that? I would love to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Okay, I'll send a note when I leave. All right, thank you very much. Have a
bye-bye.
great night.
Thank you. Good luck. Moving on to other business, we have a new set of drawings here for the project at 1 East Merrimack Street. There's been some changes to the plans, and the office has been talking with the architects, and how are we going to approach this, Jared?
So back in 2017, you issued an order of conditions for this project, which also needed approvals from the zoning board and the planning board. The original applicant now is coming back because they've changed the project. It was a lot taller initially, it would have been 12 stories, now it's 5. But what I think is most relevant for the Conservation Commission is that they're changing the foundation method. Originally, it would have been a hybrid of poured
The
concrete and pilings.
pilings, I remember that.
Now it'll just be a poured foundation, which I think they're able to do because it's a shorter building. And so staff just wanted to check in with you guys to see what advice you'd like us to give the applicant in terms of their direction moving forward, whether this would be something that they could come in and present as a plan change, as just sort of an agenda item, or whether you think that they need to file an NOI amendment with its public notice requirements.
Does their overall footprint change and layout of how they were going to proceed with the construction and, debris management and things of that, is that all pretty much the same?
So all that, the footprint is largely the same. It actually is not as close to East Merrimack Street.
Right.
There kind of was a restaurant that was going to be extending out all the way. Now it's just a little bit shorter back. But other than that, it's pretty much the same. It's a little bit more rectilineal.
Right.
Other than that, it's basically the same footprint.
And then this was also contingent upon the whole Concord River Greenway and, because it abuts that too, if I recall, right?
Correct.
Is it still, the original project was high-end luxury condo. Is the intended use any different? Not that that's really relevant for the commission, but I'm just curious.
That I don't know. I know that the mix of the housing type is relatively the same in terms of 1 and 2 bedrooms.
Yeah.
But in terms of whether they are condos or just
Yeah.
market rate apartments, I'm not sure.
Yeah. I was wondering what was going on, because I think would you say, you gave the date, because I think it was about 2 years ago we approved this.
And I believe that they were ultimately going to need to come in regardless for an extension to their order of conditions.
Yeah.
Because that would soon be expiring. But in terms of what the commission's sense is in terms of it being a plan change or an NOI amendment, we just wanted to make sure that we gave the correct direction to the applicant.
This was daily, right?
Yeah.
In those guys?
Yeah.
Is it still daily in those guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Would an NOI amendment need to kind of go through note mailing and all that stuff too, and open public comment again?
Yep, the full public notice requirements.
I, for one, don't think it needs to be that extensive. I guess what I would suggest, because hear what others have to say, but I would say, have the applicant come before us and just kind of walk us through, okay, this is what we originally planned, this is what we're going to do now in terms of, impacts to the resource, if there's any change to that, how they're going to manage, debris and construction material placement and during the project, that type of thing. And I think let that dictate as to whether or not, maybe it's just an FYI and they just do make sure they have an appropriate as-built when they're done the project in order to get their certificate of compliance.
Weren't they originally going to keep the canal wall as it is?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yes, they did
all
run
of this takes place behind the wall.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'd want to know what type of foundation they're proposing and how that would affect the wall itself,
Well, I think
existing wall.
I think the foundation they're proposing is even minimal impact to the wall, because it's not, they're
You
not
have a
going
lot
down
less
deep.
load bearing, right?
Yeah, if they're just gonna do a poured concrete foundation, that's a lot different than what they proposed. And the square footage of the building has not increased.
In terms of the footprint, no,
Yeah.
it would have decreased actually a little bit.
Yeah, so, I wouldn't put in.
So a
for
little bit
environment-
further, I think you were saying a little bit further setback from the canal.
Resource area.
A little bit further setback from East Merrimack. It's sort of, if
Yeah.
you look at the footprint, I think it's the last page on that. It used to come out almost a lot closer to East Merrimack, this kind of
Right.
like nub. Now it's not as close to East Merrimack.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think amendments, if it's going smaller,
Yeah.
I don't even know if they need to come in, but yeah.
Yeah, if they were
Yeah.
planning to come in
If they're planning to come in, we would love to hear what they have to propose.
I
Well,
think they
we-
may need to get the order of conditions extension regardless. I think it was just a question of if they need to do anything else beyond that.
I don't think so.
Do you have the order there? Is there anything about the change in the foundation that would affect what we put in the order?
I don't have it with me at the moment, but when we looked through it last week prior to meeting with the applicant, that nothing really stood out that would have been an issue.
I think we would want to have what the changes are for the file, so that
Absolutely.
when they come in with the as-built, at least it will match what's been proposed.
Well, and I think that they can come in and definitely present in greater detail than I can what exactly is changing, but it sounds like this could be an agenda item versus a notice of intent amendment.
Yeah, I mean, an informational discussion.
Right?
I'd appreciate it if they came in with a comparison plan so that we can see the old layout and the new layout, just for pictorially represent the changes in the footprint.
And I know that they're going to have to do that for the planning board and the zoning board anyway,
Sure
so
that they
they
would.
should be able to bring that in.
Thanks.
Okay.
Further discussion? Okay, so you'll, what's their time frame on this? Are they about to start work, or?
Well, they would need to still get their approvals for the planning board and the zoning board, or at least they're in for a minor modification right now for the planning board the next couple of weeks. So they have to do that. They have to go back before the zoning board as well. So I think they're hoping potentially to get started this year. It's just a matter of checking those
So
boxes first.
perhaps in the next few meetings, they'll bring something in for conservation.
Absolutely. Well, if this is, based on this conversation, it sounds like they might be able to come in for the next meeting, which right now doesn't have any agenda items aside from the enforcement orders that are continued. So it could be an opportunity to do it then if they can pull that plan together that Bradley requested.
Okay, so we'll let you schedule that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We have some utility poles being replaced. I believe the two that I saw were West Meadow Road on the edge of Flaggy Meadow Brook. Was that correct?
That's correct. 2 poles they're proposing to replace as a national grid.
Okay, so this is basically just a notice, but do we ever send anything back to them?
No, they essentially have this notification requirement to say that they're going to be doing this work. I mean, ultimately, if you disagreed with their rationale for not having to come before you, then you could do something, but it's up,
Yeah.
up to you. It's the 2 poles that
I
they're
know they've
replacing.
been doing a lot of poles around the neighborhood. They've been on your street yet?
No, not yet.
They took over my street. They had 3 huge trucks and poles and everything else, so I guess it's an upgrade. Minutes. We got a set of minutes from January 9th, our last meeting, 2019.
I was not here, so I can't
The
vote.
only thing I noticed was that I had seconded something. I don't think that's possible. I'm not allowed to second things towards the end of the minutes. Any other comments, corrections, typos?
That change is already made though, right?
This is a draft, so if there's any changes that need to be made, we can make them. It's actually just a outline of the real minutes which are on tape.
Looks good to me.
Okay, we have a motion? Seconded by Perry. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Is there anything else, Jared, that we should?
I have no other items to discuss.
I
Okay.
got something, just curious. Has the city done its routine check of tent city dwellings along the river? Because I noticed a couple of tent dwellings popping up along the river again.
Trevor?
Merrimack, right behind where the spinners are, near the Aiken Street Bridge. I know.
On your side or the other side?
Our side, yeah. And I know the city periodically does a sweep for those dwellings, and I just wanted to make note of that. I think the police department monitors it as well, but there's another tent dwelling right on the same side of the Merrimack River as where the Lowell Spinners, Little Asha Park is behind it. You can see it actually if you're going over the Aiken Street Bridge towards UMass Lowell.
Must have been mighty cold the last couple
Yeah.
of days.
Well, and that's the other thing too, I was thinking about it being cold. It's not a good time to be outside. So just something to make note of, and, I can follow up with the police department too, but I think, we've talked about these things in the past, so just,
Talked about it at the last meeting.
Did we?
That Mass DOT wanted to come and clean up and cut some brush.
yeah, to prevent that type of thing,
So
yeah,
you can see into them, go and clean them out.
yeah,
Yeah, and people are paying attention to it, I think.
yeah. So just make note of it, and I'm not sure who to follow up with at the city, other than I could, check with the police department as well.
No, and I can alert sort of the
Right.
health inspectors as well and other inspectors that may be involved there.
All right, thanks.
Okay, we're down to the word adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
I'll
made,
second it.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you and good night.